Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Donjo 9175-DU-RC. This is an 1 3/4 extended lip round corner full lip strike. Let's take it out of the packaging and take a closer look at it. So this is a strike plate, obviously. This is the 9175, and that means a couple of things. First of all, it means it's going to come in a poly bag. We know that because it leads with a 9 in the part number rather than a letter from Donjo. You can buy this in a different packaging, and I'll show you that when we get to the catalog. But if you're looking for the least expensive way to buy these, buy it with the 9 beginning in the part number, because the packaging amounts to a couple dollars price difference, I've noticed. The 9175, the 175, it tells us that it is 1 3/4. Well, the height is 2 1/4. Because it's a full lip strike, well, what we'd call a D strike. If you use your imagination, you can see why we would call it a D strike. Okay, if you measure the width, nowhere on here does it measure 1 3/4. It's 2 1/4, but the way strikes are measured are from the center line of the screw holes to the edge of the lip. So that's 1 3/4. Okay. This is approximately a 1/2 inch greater than standard. A standard lip length from the center line of the holes to the edge of the lip is about 1 1/4 inch, 1 3/16, 1 5/16, right in that range. So if someone's buying 1 3/4 lip length, I'm thinking, okay, so you're about a 1/2 inch longer is what you really require to get that installed. And very typical and common for someone to order that. Why? Well, the casing that they have has some backband, thicker than average casing, and when you're door is coming into the closed position, it is literally striking that thicker than average trim prematurely. And you don't want that scarring on your woodwork from the latch bolt of the lock, so you're going to extend that lip length out. And that's literally why people will do this. That's why you need to do it in those instances. So they make different lip lengths, 1.5 inch, 1 3/4, 2, 2.5, 3, probably 4 inch. We'll look at that in a moment. But if you use 1 1/4 as a baseline, and then you say to yourself, well, my material is thicker than average by X, then you'll know exactly what you're dealing with. The bottom line is, this has a, it's a full lip strike. We call it such because it is, the lip length is the full continuous height of the strike, even though they make full lip strikes in 2 3/4 as well. Pretty unusual to see those. But it has that bend on it, so you're going to want that to just project out over your trim ever so slightly so that you can, again, not have more projecting hardware off the face of the frame than necessary. You don't want to order something longer than necessary. You just want the latch to be able to gracefully hit that piece of metal before it's hitting any part of your woodwork. The DU in the part number stands for dark bronze powder coat, and they're powder coating over steel. That's normal. When powder coating is done, the factories will always default to the least expensive base material. This strike can be made in brass-based material, stainless steel-based material, and obviously a steel-based material. They're going to opt to use the least expensive. With strike plates, nobody really thinks about that very much. If it was me, and I was using strikes in an exterior application, I would contact the factory and I'd say, I want powder coated black or dark bronze, but I want it over a stainless based material because I know it's an exterior application, or maybe even a brass based material, and see if the factory will oblige that. They have the parts and the technology, I don't see why. But moving forward in that conversation, when it comes to flat goods like push plates, if you order something powder coated in a push plate, now push plates are going to be available in brass, bronze, stainless, aluminum. So you won't get steel in that, but you'll get aluminum. So do you want them powder coating aluminum or stainless? So we have to qualify in most instances what the expectations are, because in finished hardware, the base material is as important really as everything else. It absolutely affects the finish that you'll get on the material. The RC stands for radiused corner. That means these corners are radiused. That is a 1/4 inch radius. On strikes, you're going to do them either in square corner or 1/4 inch radius. There's really no other way to do those. And that's achieved when they're running the router by hand or automated. And you've got a 1/2 inch diameter 2 flute carbide router bit in there, and that's what's going to be left over, that 1/4 inch radius. Okay. You might look at that and say it's curved. I need a curved strike. Yeah, you do. If your jam is made of wood, you could buy a square corner strike and just chisel that square, and it would take you, 30 seconds to do an exceptional job. Comes with a couple of screws and a complementary finish. These are also steel. I bet they're number 8 by 1 inch flathead sheet metal screws. Let's switch to the screen view and take a closer look at some supporting documentation. Okay, so here's the item that we are looking at. Down below, full lip strike, 1 3/4 lip length, 1/4 inch radius. They say that it's 18 gauge, 50 thousandths of an inch. Let me see what my caliper says about that. I bet it's spot on. Well, I don't know that it's spot on. Let's see. My caliper tells me it's .051. Depending on where I measure it, I'm getting 51 or pretty close to 50 thousandths. So yes, pretty spot on. The dimension is listed there. Your screws, your mounting screws are mentioned. 9 series will be shipped in a polybag package only. We'll talk about that in a second. When you buy one, we're going to ship you one, even though 10 would come in a box. They're priced as each. Let's look at the template first. Dimensional drawing of the item, exposing more than the simple couple dimensions that I talked about earlier. People will ask the size of that of the prep for the latch, and there it is. You will notice that the latch, this strike plate, forgive me, has a, if we're looking at it in cross section, if it's face down, okay, it has a tang coming off the back here, and then of course your latch bolt would fit inside of here. That tang is really meant to create a smoother operation. You have more surface area for the latch bolt, which is generally what's called a self-lubricating metal. It will slide easier, but with that tang that's there, rather than the strike just having a cutout only, this is a real big strike, that tang sits back here, okay, giving you greater surface area. Without that, your strike is not going to retract as smoothly nor project as smoothly. So that's a hallmark of a strike made by someone who understands how strikes actually work. So that template is there. Then we go to the catalog, and let's just search for 9175, and we'll get to that document. We'll get to that table where the extended lip strike is shown on page 2I. So 9175. Two and a quarter extended lip strike. So they will go from 1.5 inch out to 4 inch in these dimensions. The items that are here are the poly bag. The items that are here have display packaging. So a 1 3/4 would be the EL175. Let's take a look and see the price difference. Currently, it's $8.10, but if you go to a packaged unit in display packaging, which will be carded, it will look like this. It's $2 more. It's more than $2 more. Okay, so be mindful of that. EL175 DURC. It's the same strike, just in carded packaging for display purposes. If you're a hardware store, if you're a lock shop, yeah, you're going to want display packaging. I would suggest that you be slick about it, put one of these on display, and then keep your stock as the 9175. It's gonna, that packaging is going to get discarded immediately. So anyway, now this document, I skipped right to where our 9175 is, but as you start from the beginning, you're going to see a whole mess of strike plates, both standard and custom. When it comes to extended lip, they can do a 2 3/4 tall, which again is very unusual. It does happen that you'll use these. I'll see a 2 3/4 tall strike. That's a deadbolt height for a strike. If you have a deadbolt, almost always that strike is 2 3/4 tall. If you're converting that to a latch, like a slam latch on a deadbolt, you would need to modify that frame and give yourself a full lip strike. This could work out perfectly for you. Our D strikes are here, our 2 1/4. You can get into 4 7/8 tall extended lip strikes. T-strikes, extended lip, very common as well. The most common, of course, is the 2 1/4 strike. That's residential applications. That's what they're prepped for. However, the 2 3/4 T-strike comes in behind it. And then, again, variations on strike plates. Not only standard in the beginning of the catalog, but extended lip, and then security strikes. This thimble strike here would be used for a application where you are doing nothing other than drilling a hole into the frame, whether it be wood or steel, for a deadbolt. Non-UL listed, non-approved for use on fire doors. Security strikes in 18-inch, 12-inch, 8-inch. Reinforced strikes for additional security, etc. They can also make custom strikes as well. You want to try to find a stock or a standard strike, because making a couple of single custom strikes can prove to be costly. There is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page right here. As we click on that, we'll be able to review not only all of the Danjo products that we sell by means of this horizontal navigation, but also a link to the website, as well as a link to the full product catalog, which we have broken down into these subsections. If you know the name Danjo at all, you do most likely because of their wraparound plates and their latch protectors. I would say behind that would be their strike plates, although I think we sell more strike plates than we do latch protectors. I would say that we sell more units of strikes and then wraparound plates and then latch protectors, but they make pivots, they make hinges, they make ladder poles, they have flat goods, armor plates, kick plates, stretcher plates, mop plates, push and pull hardware, door stops and bumpers, ancillary hardware, mounting tabs, signage, things of that nature. Let's wrap up this video on camera. Okay, in conclusion, this is the Danjo 9175 Strike. Very common, very typical. Finishes I didn't touch on. They can do brass, base material, stainless base material, obviously steel base material. I know that they can do a black powder coat. That is a finish that has become reasonably popular of late. It's 2020 right now. It's been popular for a couple of years. If you go back 100 years, black was there were variations of black. Black was, the color that you're going to see all the time. It's nice that it's nice not only that the market has said we want black, but it's nice that the manufacturers have come in and said, you want black? Fine. We can go back to 1920. We can do that. So nice process. So they'll supply black in these strikes. Obviously dark brown. Stainless, it's going to be a brushed stainless. Then on brass, they can do polished brass, antique brass. I believe that they'll do satin nickel, maybe antique nickel. You'll see these finishes on templates and referred to in catalogs. What is currently available continues to evolve. Black will fall off someday, probably not for a decade or more, if I were to guess, or a couple of decades. Brass, a 1980s finish is still commonly offered. Somebody just discontinued something in polished brass. Not super mainstream, but I thought to myself, oh yeah, brass is obviously dipped a little bit in terms of popularity. In terms of popularity, back in the 70s, it was your bronze, your antique brasses. The 80s brought polished brass. The 90s brought a movement to satin chrome, and then, hey, I want satin nickel. I don't want satin chrome, I want satin nickel, which makes sense. Satin chrome is going to be more commercial. That got into oil rub bronze being the vogue color in the early 2000s, and we currently today call black the new oil rub bronze because it's the new vogue color. I love it. There is a renaissance happening in the hardware industry right now in terms of finishes and how they achieve different finishes. However, if you looked back in time, literally at a catalog that was 100 years old, you didn't have 5 choices of finishes. You had lots of choices of finishes. So it's nice to bring back in the sense of lots of options for the client. Anyway, if you have any questions on the 9175 Strike or any other Danjo product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.